All right, welcome to the Snowflake Sports Podcast. It is 7:26 Eastern Standard Time on July 15th. It is a Wednesday, and I am joined by a good friend, fellow Raptor fan, and Canadian, Connor O'Sullivan. How you doing, Connor?
Hey, Dan. I'm doing great. Great to be back on the podcast. Love to be invited back.
Yeah. Great to have you on. And so this week we're going to talk about Woj sending the Missouri Senator a fuck you email.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Rajon Rondo fractures his hand. He'll be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Brooklyn Nets basically have no one. And this isn't really new news, but I haven't really discussed it on this podcast. And then Russell Westbrook tests positive for COVID pre-bubble. And then we're going to finish off with Elena Delle Donne. She tried to get exempt for the WNBA restart because she has Lyme disease, but the WNBA refused that because they suck. Right, going to free Woj. So Minnesota Senator Josh Hawley criticized the NBA because players will be allowed to promote social justice on their uniforms, but no support for law enforcement. He also criticized the league for being too buddy-buddy with China. Adrian Wojnarowski, a.k.a. Woj, sent one of the best Woj bombs of his famed career when he emailed back a simple fuck you to Senator Hawley. Woj then apologized, calling his actions unacceptable, and then he ended up getting suspended. And it should not be reflected on his ESPN colleagues and whatnot. All right, Connor, so what are your thoughts on this suspension?
Oh boy, well, I mean, I have a few thoughts. I mean, first of all, the whole situation and this Hawley letter, I heard Woj's suspension, but I didn't actually know the full details of what he was replying to, so I went and looked for it, and yeah, I mean, Josh Hawley basically sent this letter to the NBA. You went over it very quickly. He's like, he's not happy with what they're putting on the backs of the jerseys. He's like, why not put back the blue or something, and then he called out like NBA's hypocrisy on China or whatever, and then he tweeted the letter out. And like, I mean, I don't know how much you know about Josh Hawley. I didn't know anything until I looked into this guy, but like, he's like a very diehard conservative Republican, and his entire timeline is him trying to like, tweet out inflammatory things, presumably for publicity, and he basically got it with this because I think he was on like Fox News 2 or 3 nights ago about this issue, so good for him. I mean, I think the two specific things he was criticizing China for were the wider genocide and concentration camps happening, and the CCP cracking down on Hong Kong protests. And you can tell right away reading that bad faith that the letter is clearly written in bad faith, and he's just doing it for personal gain. And, the two reasons why are, if you look into this guy's history, like, he has no problem with the concentration camps that are on the southern U.S. border right now. He specifically said he supports the child separation policy because, in his words, it's like, quote unquote, needed to uphold law and order in the United States. I have no idea what separating kids from their parents has to do with that. And, second thing is, he's passing resolutions in the Senate to like honor the hero cops cracking protesters' skulls during all of like the protests of the past 6 to 8 weeks. So he loves it when they do it to protesters here, but he thinks it's bad when China does it to protesters in Hong Kong. So, interesting.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those are good points. I have no idea who Josh Hawley was. I assume he's the junior senator. I don't even know who the senior senator is from Missouri. But it kind of makes sense, right? Like Missouri, like former slave state and stuff. So I could just see this whole backing of the blue. And right, like Ferguson, that's Missouri. So like basically where Black Lives Matter was like such a huge prominent thing back in like 2014 was like, of course he's going to be against it.
And this, the past few weeks too, they've, Black Lives Matter still going strong there, still pulling like very big major protests as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's not being reported, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so my whole problem with this, like suspension or just like lashing out at Woj is just like, he's so much bigger than like ESPN. Like outside of his son, Sam Sharanega, I totally botched that. He reports like the fastest, most accurate NBA news. Like Like he just has these Woj bots. Like he doesn't need ESPN, so I don't know why they like lash out at him. So I thought like, oh, okay, maybe like Woj could just like leave ESPN and like join like the likes of Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless at Fox Sports One. But like then again, Disney acquired Fox Entertainment Group, so like they own that too. So it wouldn't like free him of anything. And I don't know. It's just like this is basketball, and like I didn't really see a corporate statement from ESPN or Disney, but I assume they had some like bland statement where they support Black Lives Matter and like the whole movement and everything. And then like you go and do this. It's just like you can't have like both sides. And he's like, this is the NBA. This is representative by like 80% African Americans, like, or probably even more. And it's just like, why? Like, why do this? I don't know. I'm just mad. Free Woj and let him do his thing. Like, so what if it's profane? Like, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely, and not to open like the can of worms off profanity and niceties and being polite to people, but I am pro like telling people more powerful than you to fuck off, go fuck themselves, etc. when they're being like stupid idiots. Like this is absolutely something that I would absolutely tell this guy to fuck off if he tried to bring this argument up to me. Like for the same reasons you said, it's absolutely stupid. Like NBA and the Disney company by proxy like picked like the most anodyne, like safe phrases to put on the back of jerseys possible, and then this guy's like, oh, why can't we do this? What about this? What about that? Like it's such a stupid argument. And Holly is like a U.S. senator. He's one of the most powerful politicians in the country, and like he directly, he passes or votes down legislation that directly and indirectly, affects people's lives, like suffering or even death, and you basically can't do anything about it except like once every 6 years when you have to vote for a senator. And the only thing you can do other than that is to tell him to shut up and go away. And Woj did that, and I'm fine with it. It's 100% good to do that. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like you said, Woj absolutely super important to ESPN. I mean, probably one of their most powerful reporters who like isn't regularly on TV, although he is on TV a lot now that I think about it. Like, how many millions did they pay to acquire him from Yahoo? Yeah, I thought he would only get. I thought he would only get a slap on the wrist for it. It's crazy that they would even risk suspending him
without pay too. Like he's
this.
Not going to get paid too, which is awful.
Yeah, fucked up. They're playing with fire because, like you said, Woj could absolutely just go, oh, okay, I don't need you guys anymore. Like I'm just going to go off and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't know how accurate this is, but I heard that like he only goes on TV because ESPN was like, we want to like revolve the NBA around you, and you're such a big personality like on Twitter that we want that like live. And it's like when I watch him on TV, I don't think it's natural. Like I feel like he's just like this nerd in the background that's just like, I don't really want to be here kind of thing. So it's, I don't know, maybe he could join Shams at the Athletic and just like write stuff and be like two awesome like reporters or whatever. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my God, can you imagine Shams and Woj like joining together? They're like some kind of giant Mac in Pacific Rim or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
They'd be unstoppable. The clicks,
right? I think Shams would get mad. Like I think he's trying to like be his own Woj, and he's really doing well. Like you can see the tweets and like timestamps, and it's like almost identical. And like I think it was the Bill Simmons podcast. He had JJ Redick on, and he said that like Shams is responding like verbatim what happened in these NBA calls that they were doing like pre the bubble, with that whole thing with like Kyrie and stuff. It's just like he's able to report that. So like I don't know if he has an in or just like he has a player that's just like, let me feed you
my
stuff.
My theory is he disguised as a window washer, so he's outside on the trestle, and he's got his little spying device, and he's got his phone in his other hand.
Right.
He's typing as fast as he can with one thumb. It's really impressive.
Yeah. Or he's got like some Google Glass or something, and he could like type with his eyes, or I don't even know.
He's got the big computer thing Batman and Morgan Freeman used at the end of Dark Knight, but only to spy on NBA players and executives.
Yeah,
only to be used for good.
For good, absolutely. I mean, I enjoy his tweets. It's very informative. So very good. All right, moving on along. But also, I guess just to backtrack, fuck Josh Hawley and Trumpism and new.
Yeah.
I guess so. He's like the youngest member of the U.S. Senate at age 40. That's a fun fact. I don't know why I care, but
Yeah, he's got a bright future, a long, bright, like big career of being like one of these dipshit conservative senators who never goes away for 60 years and is in there till he's 95 and does nothing except say the stupidest possible things. I mean, I've got like some. I mean, I kind of went down a Josh Hawley Wikipedia hole on this one. I just wanted to share like a choice quote from him. He said during like his election campaign that human trafficking is the result of the American sexual revolution in the 1960s.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah. So
how is this person elected?
Well, you gotta.
Voter suppression.
I did not follow. To be fair, his opponent was Claire McCaskill, who was one of the worst sitting Democratic senators before this. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But, yeah, enough about this guy. He's gotten enough attention. Screw him.
Yeah.
Don't care. The only, like, one last thing I wanted to say, like, speaking of, like, consequences of, people being in power, like how Josh Hawley sees none of them, definitely if this had been any ESPN reporter without the same clout as Woj, the suspension would be longer and or like that person would be fired, right? Like if you're an intern who got this ESPN email, you can't reply fuck you to that. Like you're done, you're toast, your career's over. So
yeah, they're fired instantly. Like he gets the credit in that, but it's just like you can't fire Woj. He's like you said, he's like their most important employee, at least for the NBA side. And they own the rights. Like the NBA is like one of their most lucrative like contracts that they have. But yeah, moving on to Rajon Rondo. So he fractured his hand, I think at a practice. I think he's already in the bubble, and he is out for 6 to 8 weeks. So how do you think the injury will affect the Lakers' playoff chances?
Okay, well, now that we're moving into the basketball portion, I'm ready with, let's get right into it with a very hot take. And my take is, I've been like extremely down on Rondo as a player for many years now. I think he's overrated. I think other than this weird blip in LA where he's like getting along with people, he seems to just beef with everyone. Like he beefed with people on the Celtics back in like 08-09. He did that like 3 alphas thing when he was on the Bulls with Jimmy Butler and the third alpha. Remind me who the third alpha was on that team.
Dwayne Wade, right?
Dwayne Wade, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yes, exactly. There were 3 alphas on that team, including Rondo. Yeah, sure. And then that like disastrous like weird thing he did with the Mavericks in the playoffs where he like deliberately fouled himself and got pulled. So. Yeah, for me, like Rajon Rondo, like overrated. Properly played on the Lakers, and absolutely like a very good like for like the minutes he plays and like the role that he does, like he's good. But the worst thing that happens without Rondo is that like the more ball handling duties shift to LeBron, and I've seen that formula have great success in the playoffs and regular season. So I'm not too worried about the Lakers' chances.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, Rajon. I mean, he's 33. On the tail end of his career, he really was just like a backup guard. LeBron, who I don't have LeBron's stats on up, but like I think he was playing like 35, 36 minutes or so. So he's playing a ton of time. But like my problem is too, so like they don't have Avery Bradley, he's sitting out, and now you don't have Rajon Rondo. So now you're gonna have to rely on Quinn Cook, Danny Green, and J.R. Smith, which honestly that's not that bad because they're all outside of Quinn Cook. They're all pretty good defenders, and they could all shoot. So, but the only thing is, like, JR basically hasn't played basketball for like 2 years at this point because he basically sat out with the Cavs.
Yeah, and I mean, he already forgot how to play when he was playing basketball, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
Oh.
Don't go for that layup. Go back. But yeah, so I mean, me and you both know as Raptors fans, like Danny Green is as inconsistent as can be. So like you can't rely on him. But like I'm pretty high on Quinn Cook. Like I know he hasn't really played a whole lot, but but he has some pretty good 3-point shooting percentages, and it's like per 36 is like pretty average. Like he'd get like 16 points or something. Um, but like going back, they're really just gonna have to play big now. Like they're just gonna have to play like LeBron, AD, and JaVale, and like maybe like throw Dwight in. Like they can't really be like versatile and like play like three guards and maybe like a Kuzma LeBron kind of thing, or I don't know. Like they can't get weird, which I feel like might be hard. Like if they run into the Rockets or something. But we'll get into them later. But like I just feel like versatility is so important in the NBA, and without having two like pretty decent guards out of your rotation, I think that's just gonna hurt them.
It's true. Versatility is absolutely important, especially in the playoffs. And, I mean, how many playoff teams ended up squeaking out an important game because, like, some sixth or seventh man on their roster ended up having a big night, right?
For sure, yeah.
I mean, can't count Rondo or, Rondo or Avery could have come through big for them in, like, a later playoff game.
Yeah. Well, I think that last Battle of LA, I think Avery Bradley was, like, 5 of 6 from 3 or something, like... He doesn't get those like 18 points or whatever he had. Like they lose that game. Like Danny Brown was nowhere to be found. LeBron can't carry the team by himself, like or neither can AD. So like they need some help, But so it's just like this whole thing is kind of weird. So what I don't understand is that he's going to leave Orlando to get the surgery, then fly back to Orlando when he's ready. So like. He might be out for 10 weeks if he has to quarantine for 2 weeks arriving to Orlando, unless like he flies early to Orlando and then does like the quarantine thing. But what about like PT and like all the other stuff? So if we factor in the maximum 10 weeks out, he won't return until September 21st, which should roughly be the start of the conference finals. So do you think Frank Vogel even throws him in without playing basketball for basically 6 months?
I mean, it's a little tight if you're only coming back by the conference finals. I mean, if they need him, I mean, who knows? Maybe by the conference finals, half the team's out sick.
Oh, right. Yes, that's true.
But let's assume, assuming no sickness, I mean, you got to factor in like rust on a player who's like 33 and hasn't played basketball in 10 weeks, right? Like that's not nothing. Like conference finals, that's as intense as basketball gets. So, yeah. I'd be a little hesitant to do it, but I am down on Rondo, but he absolutely does have the put me in coach mentality that a good NBA player needs. So,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, Rondo will want to go in if he comes back in, right?
Oh, definitely. He's like you said, he's the 3 alphas from Chicago. Like how good that went.
That's true.
Yeah. His ego is definitely there, so he'll definitely want to play. So this just reminds me of just like the Raptors last year when OG Anunoby suffered an appendectomy, and I think he was ready to, like around the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals, and Nick Nurse never threw him in the rotation, and I was kind of a little mad about it in the moment because he's basically like a poor man's Kawhi and can guard anyone, but a little limited on offense. But I kind of got it because looking back, like Toronto had such a good 8-man rotation at that point, and Nick Nurse probably didn't want to fuck it up. Like he didn't want to take more time off of like Powell's minutes or like Fred VanVleet or something. So it like kind of made sense. And like Rondo's gonna be 33. He's not gonna be in game shape. Like the only way you could be in game shape is play, and it's just I don't know. Barring more COVID like cases, like I just don't see him seeing a lot of time really. But.
Yeah, I mean, if the Lakers are rolling and like they're feeling good with their current like rotation and guys, and I mean they probably should be by the conference finals because they're just going to only have like lower seed opponents up to that point. Yeah, why mess with a good thing? Like that's one of the reasons why Nick didn't put OG back in. Not that the Raptors had like a cakewalk to the conference finals or anything, but
yeah, exactly. So
sometimes don't rock the boat. Sometimes just roll with what works.
Yeah. So given what we know now. Maybe this is just a little off script, but like, would you pick Clippers or Lakers?
Ooh, I mean, this is like a cop out, but I'm still gonna say too close to call. The X factor for me is the X factor for me is, I mean, how many games total did Markieff Morris play before like the season got postponed? Like I want to see like what he can do on that team, because I don't know. I feel like if Avery's out or Jean's out, if you're saying like who is the guy who stepped up and kind of fills the void that they have, and it's either him or I've got the roster up here. Oh my God, Dion Waiters. Here we go.
Yes, that could work.
The time for playoff Dion Waiters. Yeah, there we go. Those are my two factors. If those guys play well, I think they should L.A.
To LA, yeah, I like Gatorade. You could take on Josh Hawley. He could be a politician. Vote for Connor. 2020. Honestly, I totally forgot Markieff Morris was on the Clippers, but then they were both competing for them, and then like Dion Waiters was like what the Lakers picked up when they didn't get him. Morris didn't play a whole lot. I just think the Clippers are so deep, and they're so versatile, and I don't know. I think Kawhi is maybe not this year. I'm gonna backtrack. I was gonna say Kawhi is better than LeBron, but LeBron is definitely better this year going forward. But I don't know. They had a lot of time off. Maybe Kawhi's quad is better. Paul George's shoulder should be better. So it's just like, I don't know. 3 through 10 on the Clippers is like better than like the other starters on the Lakers, in my opinion.
Good point.
I tip my hat to them, but we'll just have to see. I hope that they make it to the conference finals, because those games were unbelievable. Moving on to the Brooklyn Nets. So they basically have no one going to Orlando. So I'm going to list. So they don't have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Wilson Chandler, Nick Claxton, and now Taurean Prince will not be going. So basically, it's just a Karis LeVert show, even though they did just recently sign Jamal Crawford, a.k.a. Jamal Crossover. So do you give the Wizards any shot at overtaking the Nets for the 8th spot?
Well, I was looking at the roster that they're actually sending there, and like other than Jamal Crawford, I'm not like a League Pass subscriber. I don't like watch all these games, but like I can't name anybody else on the Nets that's actually going to the Nets. This is almost like one of those sports movies where the main team all gets like, this is like the NBA version of The Replacements or something like that. I was thinking, no way, the Wizards are so far behind, the joke that they were even included, blah, blah, blah. Then actually look at the standings, right? So the Wizards are behind the net.
Yeah.
Right? So let's assume this G League squad of Nets loses all 8 remaining regular season games, right? That'd be within 3 games to force a playoff round, right? So all the Wizards have to do is go 5-3 against a schedule of Phoenix, Brooklyn, Indiana, Philly, New Orleans, Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, and Boston. So as long as they can take out 5 of those teams, they can force the play-in and probably beat Brooklyn twice in a row. Let's see here. Like Phoenix, that's a guaranteed win. No offense to Phoenix, they got them. Same with Brooklyn, so that's 2. And then the ones that are maybe questionable for me are New Orleans, because they haven't been great this year, but they're not a bad team. And then the real question mark is Indiana, because I thought Oladipo was not going to be playing with this team, but now like today he's saying, oh, maybe I will.
Yeah, he's like practicing now or stuff, and that's just so weird.
Yeah.
So okay, Wizards, they also don't have Bradley Beal and that Bertans guy, because I think he doesn't want to get an injury before his contract's up. So like they also don't have a lot of people going. Yeah. They have like Thomas Bryant and like Rui Hachimura. That's really about it. So I think Phoenix could actually beat them. Like I would almost put money on Phoenix, because I think all their players are going. I haven't heard anything, but also I haven't really followed them. I just think it's so hard, because you gotta go 5-3. Like you still gotta play Milwaukee, you still gotta play Boston. I think New Orleans is probably a loss too. So like you just like trip up at
Oklahoma City as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like I don't really see it happening. I know the Nets are pretty much gonna fall apart. They could easily go like 0-8 or something. So So maybe they could get in that like 3 like game thing for that play-in round. So this Orlando, I'm pretty sure they're pretty fine right now. So basically, they'll automatically jump Brooklyn because they're like a game back or something.
Yeah,
so this will
they just play next door anyway.
Yeah, right. So this will be another Toronto-Orlando series for second year in a row if Toronto stays at that 2 seed. So you've previously said on this podcast to free Jonathan and Isaac. How do you think this rematch will play out?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about it a little bit. Most of my thoughts haven't changed since the last time I was on your podcast, because I think we talked a little bit about, like, because I think we did playoff seeding, right? And it was like,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a 2-7 seed, so that's, we were talking about the rematch. But like I said, I'm still excited as heck to see Jonathan Isaac on Siakam this time. I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup because presumably he slides to the Raptors' new number 1 option now that Kawhi isn't there anymore. But I think the real deciding issue is going to be whether Gasol is feeling 100%. Coming back from all that time off, coming back from like a couple of leg injuries in the regular season, is he going to be okay? Because a big part of why the Raptors had such a cakewalk in that series was he shut Nick Vucevic down, basically. He clowned him, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, all signs point to, Gasol seems fine. He'll probably be okay. In fact, I don't know if you've seen a picture of him, but it looks like he's lost a bunch of weight.
Oh, nice.
So he seems like he's in good shape and he's ready to go. But yeah, that for me is the X factor. But that being said, Toronto 4-1.
4-1.
Exactly.
Same.
And let's say they lose game 1. They're going to lose game 1 and then win 2, 3, 4, 5. Book it.
Yeah. I don't know. Game 3 was close last time. So, like, it could be close again. There's no fans, right? They're in Orlando. I don't know. Maybe they get the humidity, even though they're playing in AC.
Oh, that's true. Oh, so humidity in Orlando is the equivalent of like elevation in Denver or something.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah. So they play in AC. Fucking everything.
Yeah.
So really bad.
Someone could sabotage the AC like they did in that infamous Heat Spurs game at AT&T.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But honestly, that would probably benefit more the Raptors because they have more European players because like Tony Parker was like, oh yeah, it was like playing in Europe, back in the day. So like Gasol has that, like Siakam. Well, I guess he hasn't played in Europe, but like Ibaka, I don't know, OG Anunoby. Oh no, he played in Indiana though, like the college team.
Right.
Well, all aside, I don't know. I just kind of like this Magic team. Like I feel like they have like really good positionless players in Jonathan Isaac, like Aaron Gordon. Like you have that Birch guy that just comes in and plays like good defense. Like Steve Clifford's like pretty sound defensive coach. And it's not like they have a lot of talent and they just like do well. I don't know. There's no way they beat the Raptors or really even come close. But like maybe they squeak out 2 games. Like Raptors without Kawhi have struggled to beat people that are less than them. And I don't know. I love Siakam. I love the jump he's made. I just don't know what playoff Siakam when all those rotations, the defense just kind of clamps up and gets tighter. Like how he's going to proceed. But yeah, so moving on to Russell Westbrook, and I guess like the Rockets in general. So he tested positive for COVID-19 before arriving to Orlando, and he'll be quarantining until he's allowed to leave. And then also, so I didn't know this before, but like James Harden also has asthma, and I don't think he's in the bubble right now. So do you think the Rockets might get bounced if they don't have either Russ or Harden, or maybe not even both?
Yeah, I took a quick note here, and it's just all I said was they are toast. So no, absolutely not. They need both those guys for sure.
Yeah, full stop.
Because they can fall to at worst 6th, right? So I mean, you're playing like Denver or Utah. Probably they can't beat either of those teams. Well, I mean Utah's personnel, locker room problems aside, I don't think they can beat either of those teams without Russ and Harden together.
Yeah. Well, they could drop to 7 because the Mavs are a game and a half back. So they could they could play the Clippers, and obviously they'll get bounced. Yeah, no, there's no, if they don't have either of them, because they're not very deep, and they almost got like I don't know how to say this, but just saying less deep. But like when they traded away their like only center to get like Robert Covington, and now they play as like a whole small ball. This first off, it doesn't really work without Russ because he's the one that's opening up the floor and just like running rampant like in the paint area, and he can't really shoot anymore. Like his 3-point percentage has like been a lot lower than it's been previously, and his game is totally just like evolved. But yeah, they'll get bounced. If they don't have one of these players, I don't think they'll do well.
Yeah, we just talked about versatility on the Clippers. The Rockets, they are vulnerable in that they do not have versatility so much in that like they need all their main guys. They need all of them. So
yeah, I was just a little disappointed because I was kind of pumped about this team because they just went all in on the small ball. Though I don't know, they're not that much fun to watch too because like James Harden foul hunting and stuff, and this isn't all new, but like I feel like they just jack up too many threes. The game like stops with all the free throws. I respect James Harden. I'm not like hating on him. It's just not a fun time.
Yeah, don't want to see another round of that in the playoffs again. No offense. The current version is a lot more fun. Like the Rockets really were fun to watch this year.
Yeah, true. All right, so Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic, and Kendrick Nunn has not traveled to the shortest drive to Orlando. So I'm assuming that they tested positive for COVID since Derek Jones Jr. has it, and right, they're probably in Miami, and Florida has all these COVID cases going rampant. So how screwed are the Heat if Bam isn't there for the start of the season?
Well, I wouldn't say as screwed as the Rockets without Russ, but I mean he's been like their cool breakout player, right?
Yeah.
He's like he's the best in their position they have for I mean if he misses like 2 or more weeks and he misses all the seeding games, well, I mean how low could the Heat slip in the standings? That's the real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like could they go down to 6th and have to play Boston instead of like Indiana without Oladipo maybe? Like that's not great. Not that the Heat, assuming Bam comes back for the playoffs, couldn't give Boston a run for their money or anything, but you'd rather avoid that in the first round.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you'd much rather play like the Pacers, especially because like I said last week, because one of my friends, Joe, he's like a Pacers fan, but like that if like the Heat played the Pacers, that game would be like in the 80s. Like that pace would be like, so slow. It'd be very defensive. You'd basically just be going back to the 90s. But I think the Heat can win that game. I think you were on this podcast when we do playoff predictions where I predicted that they would beat the Bucks.
Your fieriest take, yeah.
Yeah. That absolutely does not happen if they don't have Bam. And obviously, like I just felt like their team worked well because they also had people like Kendrick Nunn that could just like rotate in, and like I think he was like starting, or I don't know. But I'm a very pro Miami Heat, like this iteration of like Jimmy Butler, Myers Leonard coming out of nowhere, because like being in Portland for a bit too, people hated Myers Leonard with like a passion because he was making like a lot of money and barely playing, and like when he played he wouldn't really play well, but like in the playoffs like it mattered. Like there was a Warriors game I think last year he scored like 30 or something.
I remember that game.
Yeah, so
crowd was chanting Myers Leonard, clap, 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 good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so if they drop to 6 and they have to play the Celtics, I don't think that's happening. I just think the Celtics have too many good like isolation scorers, in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You're forgetting like Kemba Walker too, can just do pretty much everything on the offensive side. So I don't know. They'd totally be screwed if Bam isn't there to start the season. Like what'll happen for him getting back in there. So yeah, disappointing. I want Jimmy to get a ring is basically the moral of the story. But
he works hard and he deserves it. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch Giannis get COVID and he can't play, and then the Heat beat the Bucks.
Oh yeah, right.
So watch it happen.
Yeah, my prediction will be sound. It'll be okay. Yeah, that sucks. I don't even. Do you understand the protocol for COVID, like NBA wise? Because like, I think I read somewhere where if they're asymptomatic, they can like, kind of quarantine themselves and then test again, and then even if they're positive but still asymptomatic, they could still play. But it just seems wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've heard some discussion around this, right? Because a problem is some of their testing right now in the bubble is pulling what they think are false positives. So they're worried that asymptomatic players testing positive might not actually have it. And they're trying to get around that, but oh boy, you're playing with fire there. I don't know about that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I kind of like, so the MLS has this like MLS is back tournament. And basically a decent amount of the FC Dallas players got it, and they just like pulled out. And then like right before they were gonna start the tournament, Nashville had like another like 8 or 9 players that had it. So they were like, they were like, we're gonna postpone the game and try to play it later. Then they were like, oh no, we're like pulling out. So I think that's the right call. And like outside of that, I think it's like there was like one case, it was like a false negative too. So they're doing good, and I think the NBA's protocol, as of like right now, is like as at the best you could be in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. Covering just about every base that you could cover if you absolutely had to play. But oh boy, if I'm Adam Silver, I'm just sweating right now. I'm sweating bullets.
Yeah, because if one NBA player like dies of this, like he will get so much heat, like this whole NBA thing will just get like crumble, But yeah. So I guess what is your stance on that? Like, are you okay with the league coming back? Do you want them to not play at all? Or is it?
I mean, I love basketball as much as the next person, but I mean, as you see all these complications mount, and I think like the biggest black eye to this so far has been like Brooklyn essentially just taking a pass, and these guys weren't even a bubble team, right? Like they were actually a seeded team, but Brooklyn this season, I mean, this was basically like a gap season for Brooklyn, right? Because the 2 guys they signed were hurt. They're reloading for next year, so they're like, why play our guys and get them sick, or like the injury, risk might be greater or something. We can just like sit out this like weird experiment. So I understand the decision, but like, yeah, I mean, all these like all these things separately don't make me nervous, but all of them together make me think that God, I hate to make this joke, but like this bubble could like burst at any time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like and I just can't help but like I like watching these games. I'm gonna watch these games. These come back. All the players really want to play because all they want to do is play basketball and they love it. But we got to remember at the end of the day, this is only happening because the owners and ABC and Disney are like, we gotta follow through on our TV contract and not take a bath and like, actually make money with like by airing these playoff games and these season games, right? It's at the end of the day, it is all like the people in the strings, like it's all motivated by like we need money. That's why we're having this very weird abortive like season and playoff format in this one spot. So I'm that really rubs me the wrong way, but I'm just going to be a hypocrite and swallow it because I miss basketball and I want to watch basketball more.
Oh yeah, if it's on, like I'm going to watch it. There's no way stopping around it. I forgot what I was going to say, but like, oh yeah, so it's like all about money. It's absolutely about money. I hate the people coming out and be like, oh yeah, it's going to bring the family around and it's going to be like all reminiscent. It's like, yes, that's true, but like you're basically masking the like true purpose of this. And this is, like you said, it was to get the TV money so that they could play their players and like their analysts and all like the team operations teams and people. It'd be great if the owners just was like, hey, we'll take a hit and everyone gets their salary pays because, we're billionaires and stuff. But of course, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, you don't get to be a billionaire by paying other people your money.
Yeah.
That's just not the way it works.
Yeah. And then
or building your own stadium, etc.
Yeah, true, right? Let the taxpayers do that, right? Fuck off. So the players too, like the basketball CBA is very player friendly. I think it's like the revenue that the players get is like 58% to 42, like players to owners. So it's just like they're kind of trapped because they kind of have to do this because if they don't, then they could rip up the CBA and they could totally lose all that money for like generations of NBA players coming in. So it's just like, yes, they could have had the option to not play, but that really wasn't on the table, at least from like a league standpoint.
Yeah, I understand where they're coming from too. There's a little bit of altruism to like future generations of players going into, there's definitely like a non-negligible number of players who are worried about it, but are like, sucking it up and going through with it because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now moving on to Elena Delle Donne. So she tried to be exempt for the WNBA restart because she has Lyme disease, which I don't know, at least for me, seems like a total legitimate excuse, but she was denied. Why do you think the WNBA rejected this request when the NBA seemed to give every exemption to any player that requested it?
Man, I mean, that's a complicated question, and I don't pretend to know what goes on in the mind of like the WNBA league executives or their medical team or their staff or anything like that. But there does seem to me that since the WNBA started, there's been like a history of treating their athletes like second-class citizens compared to NBA athletes. They're paid far, far less. They get like way less publicity and fame, and I don't know. It just seems like they take them almost for granted. They're almost on the status of G League players. Sometimes it seems so. Yeah. I mean, this is just like one of the like many ways like like they get treated poorly and unfairly.
Yeah. So what I think is odd. So I don't know who. Well, I guess no one like owns the WNBA, but I'm pretty sure like the NBA, it's underneath like the NBA. So it's basically like, okay, like the WNBA doesn't make a whole lot of money because people like don't go to like women's games. It's kind of awful, but like we'll take the heat, and then like you could be a league that lasts because like women's soccer leagues have all like perished and like restarted again like the past like 20 years. So it's kind of nice to see that a league stays intact, but this is not like a player friendly league. Like they make like no money. They have to go overseas to kind of make any substantial income, or like I can never say her name right, but like Chiney Okukembe, like she has to be like a TV analyst like during her season so that she can like, well, I guess not during, like outside of it because her season's more like in the summer, but she has to like be on ESPN all the time, and she's a great analyst. She's amazing at it. But it's just sad to see that like she needs that income to like live comfortably, as like a basketball player and everything. But going back to Elena Delle Donne, her story is just like kind of incredible. Like coming up in college basketball, she had a scholarship to UConn, and then she dropped that 2 days into a summer camp because she's extremely close to her family, and her sister has cerebral palsy. So she decided to come back home to like the University of Delaware. And then I don't think the University of Delaware really did much, but she's been like a 2-time WNBA MVP. She's been on 4 all WNBA first teams. Like she was Rookie of the Year. She won the title last year for the Mystics over, I guess, my Connecticut Sun now. So I was just like, why try to disgruntle one of your best players, your most prominent players, and like people know who she is. Like she's like a knowledgeable, I don't know what the word is. I guess like famous player. But like why do this? And like the Players Tribune had an article today where she's taken 64 pills just to function, and she gets like a common cold and it's more than a common cold, or she gets like a flu shot and it's very effective, and it's just like she is immunocompromised. She's the one person that should be able to sit out, and it's just awful. I hate it.
Yeah, it makes no sense in my mind that they're playing her. It's messed up. Like,
yeah.
let her sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let her sit. It's not worth it. Like, she has actual genuine health risk here.
Yeah, and you might ruin her for the rest of her career. Like, she might not want to play. She might get hurt or something, or I don't know. Her like lung capacity might not be capable. It's just bad, and I feel bad because I don't even know really how that restart is happening. Like, what are they shortening the season and just doing like playoffs, like kind of like the 8-game thing for the NBA. But yeah, it sucks. Poor WNBA players and just women's professional sports because they don't get recognition. They won't get like money. They're not respected by their own teams or like organizations that they play for. So just a bad time.
Yeah, shame on them. And everybody listening to this, check out WNBA games when you get a chance on Caesar Zooms, because WNBA games are good. They're entertaining. Like, it's good basketball. This is coming from someone like who doesn't watch college and thinks it's boring and hates it. Like, WNBA is good. So
yeah, I'd say WNBA is better than college. I don't know. I just love the fact that they like make free throws. Like, everyone on any WNBA team is like a 75% free throw shooter, like minimum. So that's nice, and they like move the ball around really well. And yes, of course they don't like dunk or something, but fundamentally it's like a great game to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're at any time, like, there are much worse league pass games going on in the. Well, not in like at the same time, obviously, but I mean, yeah, like they're exciting games. Like, they're good to watch. Go watch them. Go on YouTube, unless the NBA actively takes them all down. They probably don't. Like, go watch some old WNBA games if you're jonesing for some basketball right now.
Yeah. And I said this last week because we talked about Maya Moore and her whole activism and all that stuff. The WNBA League Pass is like $16 for the entire thing. Like, all teams except the ones like inside your market or whatever. It's like, that's like so cheap to watch like so much basketball. I know it's like a shorter season than the NBA, but like I don't know. I feel like people have $16, and if you don't, like, I'm sorry, you might be poor. So I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but
there's no excuse not to do it if the prices are that low. Let's go, people.
Yeah.
Turn off one of your many streaming subscriptions or whatever.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, get rid of Apple TV Plus. You tried it; it was awful.
I don't know.
What was that one show they had, that like newsroom rip off or whatever? That Good Morning America awful thing with Steve Carell, whatever. Like, it's bad streaming. Cancel it. Whatever. You got an HBO Max subscription. You check that out. You realized you've seen every single show. Like, you've seen The Sopranos 10 times. Yeah, you don't need it. Cancel it. Go subscribe to WNBA.
Hey, HBO Max though, it's got Westworld. I don't know if you've caught up to Westworld or not, but it's.
Oh boy, we can do an entire other podcast where I complain about Westworld.
What?
What? I'm sorry, man. I can't get behind that show. I didn't see season 1. I watched all of season 2, and I could not believe what I was watching.
Oh, there's no way. Yeah, season 1 is much better than season 2, but like,
all right.
I really like season 3. Aaron Paul comes back. They do like they kind of flip the whole story because it's mostly like the interaction between how AI are as close to human interactions, but it's like they almost like flip it where humans are almost like AI stuff, which I guess it sounds like stupid and like common sense, but I don't know, it's pretty cool. Plus, you're a sci-fi guy, aren't you? Wouldn't you not be totally into this?
I am a big sci-fi guy, but in like the year 2019 or 2020 or whenever season 1 or 3 came out, like, if you are still doing a show about how what does it really mean to be human if a robot looks and acts exactly like a human, then like I encourage you to go pick up any sci-fi book or movie made in like the past 100 years, basically. I don't know, man.
That's a good
I don't
point.
know, because most of those will have a more coherent plot than Westworld. Anyway, stay tuned for the bonus Snowflake Sports podcast episode where Dan and I debate whether or not Westworld is good for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I don't know. I just love that show. I don't know. Maybe I think it's the music. Honestly, the music is great, and it's just like
I will say I would have much preferred a Samurai World show or whatever
oh
that
yeah,
other theme park was in season 2
that world was
compared.
cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You don't like the Wild West? You know, the guns and the pew pew and the prostitutes.
Nah, never been a big Wild West guy. Would absolutely do that or the India one over that. That's
Oh.
just my personal taste. That's all me. Let me pretend I'm in a Kurosawa movie or something.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. All right, I think that wraps it up. We got some time though. Do you want to discuss anything? I know you're always active in like the news politics world. Is there anything you want to talk about now or?
Is there anything like specific going on right now? Well, if you're talking about like what makes me mad in politics, the latest thing, it's not latest, but I think I've complained about Andrew Cuomo on this podcast before, and speaking of people who need to, be told, fuck you, fuck off, etc. I just wish this guy would shut up because, like, he has a press conference every single day about how great everything is going and has been going, in New York for the past few weeks, and he's ignoring the fact that like 40,000 people in New York have like died, basically, and that's like the highest death toll of all but like 4 other countries or something. And his approval rating is approximately 105%, with like a margin of error of plus minus 5. And it's just like I just don't understand like why he didn't have to like resign in shame for like his very, very disastrous response to this whole COVID-19 situation, which got a lot of people killed. The main thing that like pissed me off again is that he keeps having these visual aids, and one of his visual aids was like a giant paper mache graph of like the trending, like here's the number of new infections, and it shows how in like it peaks in April and then it's been going down and now it's very, very low in New York State again. It was just like, why are you proud of that, man? Why are you displaying that? That's like all the people who got sick and a bunch of people in that like thing died, and it's the backdrop as you say how everything's great again. Like, really disgusting. That guy sucks. Wish Cynthia Nixon had won that election a while ago, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I am not an Andrew Cuomo fan, and I'm just saying this because I'm gonna like slightly defend him. So like, New York City is just like, it's like the one city in the United States where you don't really need a car. I'd say like LA is like kind of trending that way because people are more just like using Ubers and it's like difficult to park and stuff. But like New York is essentially like you get an apartment near a subway stop or something and you just ride the metro. So that's like such an easy way to transmit this disease. And like, I guess compared to all the other governors in the United States, like I think who's the Florida one? Newsom or no? That's not.
News of California.
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name.
Right, he sucks. Right? DeSantis or something.
DeSantis, yes.
Yeah. So like he's bad. Like Texas was bad. Arizona. Like there are so many other states that like fucked this up so bad. And I felt like Cuomo in New York, Chris Murphy in New Jersey, like Lamont in Connecticut, they kind of teamed up and did like the best they could. And I think it worked because we're like this area is like pretty safe now, and it's not like we're back to, pre-COVID, but it's like you could go out and do stuff. But then again, Andrew Cuomo still kind of sucks. He cut a lot of like Medicare benefits like at the beginning of this year, even before this whole COVID crisis. So you can't really blame that. And it's just the fact that he's been like a governor for like my entire lifetime. So, yeah, everyone's behind him now.
Well, I will counter that by saying, like, I do agree with you that, New York State did eventually do something, and like the infections and the deaths are down, but the idea that like New York City is an especially easy place to to have this virus spread is true, but like 2 days ago, Hong Kong, which has easily as dense an urban population as New York City, reclosed all of its restaurants and gyms and canceled all like large gatherings again because it got 40 total infections in one day. That's like that's it. Like, that's a blip. That's like as many infections as Albany, New York got yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there are multiple like very dense urban cities comparable to New York City that did not have this problem. Now, to a degree, New York City and much of the United States was kind of screwed because the supply chain that we had to like get masks to people, to get proper medical equipment and ICU beds to people was compromised on the outset, like before we even knew COVID-19 was coming, due to like, you know, years of budget cuts, like poor decisions, etc. But you know, it is true that like most states got warnings from their departments of health saying COVID-19 is coming and you need to make drastic bad decisions. Like, people need to be told, you can't go to restaurants anymore, you can't go to bars anymore because a virus that will mostly not badly make people sick, but you know, will like disproportionately affect the elderly will happen here. And you know, Cuomo was one of many governors who said, nah, not going to do it until something major like the NBA getting canceled happens, and then I'll have the cover to do it. I think a much better response was actually Washington State Governor Jay Inslee, because he actually was putting shit into place back in like February. Yeah. Like, anyone who did anything before March 15th, like, that's as good as you can do. Cuomo did not do anything until like it was too late. Like, his like, you know, as you know, it's nice that like infections are down now, but like his like inaction did get like tens of thousands of people killed. It's fucked up. Wish he would resign. That's and sorry, and rant, but
that's fair.
Ooh, boy.
I mean,
I get steamy when I think about
it. Yeah, Cuomo and his cronies. Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples of like foreign cities or like states doing better. Like, I think Barcelona now is considering closing down because it wasn't like 40 cases, it was like somewhere near like 100 or something. But like, the fact that they're thinking about shutting down again is so much more like people first, like money second, than like any United States city or state has even thought of. And it's just kind of sad. But yeah, I don't know. I think you made some good points, and I think Cuomo's just getting a lot more like reputation, and it is really annoying that he's doing these press conferences, and it's like the other side of Trump, where Trump was doing those like press conferences and building up like this rapport, or just like this free media time to just kind of say whatever he wants, and Cuomo can almost do that for New York State too. And I just want to, for context, because I don't think I said it on this podcast, I know you've been on here, but Connor lives in Albany, so he's like right by the Cuomo mansion, can boycott it anytime you want, so resign, Cuomo.
Yeah, I can drive by his actual house and flip it off anytime I want. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck Cuomo. We could be like Woj, you know?
Yeah.
Tweet it out.
You're going to lose. He probably listens to this podcast, man. You're going to lose a listener.
Oh, sorry, Cuomo. Get out of here. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to listen. All right, I think that concludes the Snowflake Sports podcast. Thank you, Connor, for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Dan. Yeah, I love doing the podcast, man. Love talking sports and getting mad about politics on here.
Yeah, definitely.
NBA's almost back. Woo.
Woo, yeah. What, 2 weeks? 3 weeks? We're almost there.
Yep, closing in.
Yeah, but you can follow me on Instagram at Snowflake Sports. Follow me on Twitter at Lucky Profession. What's your Twitter? Connor TO, right?
Yeah, mine is at Connor TO, and I don't tweet anything useful or interesting, but if you want to follow me, go ahead.
Hey, you have good retweets. I don't know. I think they're clever.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right, well, that concludes it, and have a good day.